T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
Well, the weather's a hell of a lot better than last time. They started work on the on our gate. So you can see there the walkway for the pedestrians is being put in, and they've got some flushing down there. So yeah, the security gates will be in fairly soon. So that's good. And the weather is substantially better than what it was last time. Although my mood isn't great, I still feel a bit like a prisoner here. I would desperately love to get back to Vietnam, but well, we'll see. Yeah, just got a notification of a doctor's appointment, and the consultation is going to be held over on the phone rather than in person. So good old coronavirus. So yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought they'd still be doing face-to-face appointments, but apparently not. My GP does, but this is at the hospital. That's Tropic Now over there, I think their offices. And I just recently, the Murdoch press has actually pulled out of Atherton and one other regional paper around here, and it's just left now to Cairns Post as the last man standing. The printed copies of the one in Atherton and Port Douglas is the other one. Yeah, they're not going to continue on, so that was inevitable. Yeah, NASA had its NASA and SpaceX had the big demo mission 2 yesterday, where they're going to be the first time in almost 10 years that they've sent an American capsule up to the ISS. After the shuttles were shelved and mothballed, they haven't got any way of getting up there apart from using the Russian Soyuz craft. So this is a big deal, and it was early, I think about 5 AM yesterday morning. I wasn't up until about 6:30, but I got up, I switched on online and had a look at it, and God, the coverage had been going for 4 hours. I mean, it was right over the top. It was a lot of NASA. It wasn't like a standard SpaceX broadcast, which is much more matter of fact. This one was real razzmatazz. NASA may not be able to build reusable rockets and the latest technology as far as that's concerned, but they have got a great PR section. They seem to put more into making videos of what they're doing than what they actually do, whereas SpaceX is more hands-on and just gets the job done. And when they have a rocket going up, they actually have the engineers working on the project doing the commentary, and I think they do a damn good job, to be quite frank, rather than just some PR person. So I prefer the SpaceX way of doing things. It was a collaborative effort though, because both the companies or agencies were involved. So but yeah, 4 hours is just absurd, and it ended up being an aborted lift-off anyway because of the weather. I mean, all this technology, bad weather puts them off, and it wasn't that bad by those things, but they have to have everything perfect before they'll send people up because they're so paranoid about safety. Same sort of mentality we have with coronavirus, I guess. It's a sort of just a general modern thing that's so risk averse, but I mean, I can understand it. You don't want to challenge a disaster. That makes perfect sense, but that is modern society though, and if it didn't have a human payload, then they might have taken off, who knows. But I'm just thinking that Musk generally wants to use his Starship to do point-to-point journeys on Earth, and I don't know, because they're not like planes, you know, you can't always have a rocket lift off. It's affected much more by weather and the like, so I don't know how practical that really is, so we'll see. I've got myself some frozen lemon slices. Apparently they're very popular at Christmas time, but I've never tried them before, but at least they'll last a long time. So the price of lemons is quite high at the moment. This, the pack of that was only $1.60. They were getting rid of them because they're not popular this time of year. It's more a festive season thing. There'd be a lot of council work taking place at the moment. They're doing the footpaths here. Makes sense, I guess, because they've got to create something quiet at the moment. Probably a good time to do it. It's not, businesses aren't going to be disrupted, so it makes perfect sense to do it this time of year. Hopefully places will get disrupted fairly soon because there'll be some people out here. But not with the Fuhrer in control in Brisbane. Rationality and dictatorship are words, irrationality I should say, and dictatorship are words that come to mind when I think of the state government. Not just this state government. Of course we've got Comrade Andrews and his Belt and Road initiative with China, selling out Australia for a few shekels from the Communist Party of China. Wonderful. It's good to have our politicians look after our own interests, isn't it? Well, not in this country. Those two premiers, Berejiklian and Palaszczuk, are regarded as fairly weak and indecisive. But then you get someone who's decisive and sneaky like Daniel Andrews, who's pushed along this Belt and Road policy with Victoria, which is absolutely disastrous and anti-Australian in my opinion. And if it's such a good deal, how come he isn't telling us all the details? Well, it's a very good reason. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't want people to know. It stinks to high heaven. And I'm so glad I've left Victoria, because I just plead to Victorians to get rid of this guy. He is bad news. He really is bad news. And there's a few people in the Labor Party who got formed with very, very close ties, way too close ties in my opinion, to China and the Chinese Communist Party. And there's a member in the New South Wales Upper House who had one of his staff do a propaganda course over there. I mean, that is really worrying stuff. So yes, I think we've got to really be very vigilant on this. Not a great week for me either personally. I've actually been battling with hay fever. It's insane. It's approaching the middle of winter up here, and I'm getting hay fever. So it just shows you how different it is to, say, Melbourne, where I would normally get hay fever in spring if I did have to endure it. But here, it just seems to be a pattern forming that there's some pollens in the air that occur this time of year. I did that mini documentary, I guess you'd call it, on the feasibility of a moon base, and it appeared people weren't overly impressed with it, from what I can tell. Not many people watched it, and that's sort of understandable. And this channel was initially a travel channel, and then I'm doing more current affairs and news, and a bit more space related stuff. But yeah, no, I didn't get no positive comments, and I didn't get barely got a positive thumbs up on it. So yeah, it wasn't received well at all, which is really disappointing to me, because I did a lot of research for it and put a bit of time into it, and so it looks as though work doesn't get rewarded. So I don't know when I'll do another one. I might try to find a place where it might be seen, because it's that's half the battle online, is to find the right audience for something like that, and it's a specialised audience. And there are people out there doing quite well doing that sort of product. I really do passionately believe in what's happening in space research and development, and I find it very exciting. But again, I can understand that it doesn't appeal to everybody, and some people just think it's a total waste of money. Now, I obviously totally disagree with that, because I believe that this research will pay huge dividends in the future. It might cost a few $1 billion in the interim, but potentially it could be an absolute bonanza, and also get a lot of dirty industry off the Earth and onto planets and asteroids, or just orbiting around other heavenly bodies. It's all feasible, I think, but it's going to take a lot of capital and a lot of work. And The events of this week with SpaceX and Virgin have shown how difficult spaceflight is. As Elon says, space is hard, and a truer word could not have been uttered. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.